Fatality. Impressive. Destiny. Round one, fight. Get over here!
Welcome to Honor of Kings. Enemy minions will arrive in 5 seconds. All forces, move out!
We have our team!
Alright, hello everyone. We are back playing some Liang in the roam position, technically speaking. I will refer to that sometimes as support because I'm a traditional player who's played since Season 3 of League of Legends. So, you know, with that being said, it's loosely interchangeable. Synonyms, for short. Anyway, so we push up the Mosey, make sure you get some gold. Zia didn't even pop up, which was very weird because that's the reason I was there, was to make sure Zia falls behind in the gold, and we successfully push him out. Correction, and my Mosey gets some gold, and I basically steamrolled his early game just by me being there, tilting the tide in his favor. We noticed that the monster is over here with the Hu Yi, and we both rotate. He teleports, excuse me, over, and we try to stop that. I'm pretty low. I don't want to greed. So again, with the critical mistakes video, I'm not in the habit of greeting here. I see they took him out, so I come back. I got some cooldowns. I'm like, it's fine, they're all there. I should be safe. So I make an executive decision to greed the stay, knowing that I might die, but everything should be fine. The other component to that is I do have a teleport here. So if I were to go back, then it's all good. I'll come back. It'll be fine. Alright, so pretty good fight here. We see them picking them up. I try to do some basic attacks here, block them, zone them with my 2, set him up for cess, block that. Really good stuff.
I say either. I say either. Either.
It's all about setting up your team for success. So the reason we're doing this analytical commentary guide is to talk about compositions and higher values and lower values. This goes back to CC wins games. So we're going to do a little bit less analytical commentary of the micro macro here, and a little bit more focus on compositions and values. Going back to the tier list, again, you can refer to that anytime. It's always at the beginning of my videos, and I am updating it all the time based on new information. Forever the student. So, as you notice, each participant in this game has brought with them some form of CC, whether it's knock up, slow down, hard stun, taunt, all that, etc., etc. Silence. Hopefully I added that one. Anyways, so that brings me to what are the higher values? Well, if you have a hard CC, a complete lockdown on your ultimate like Liang and Duan Huang, that is obviously overbearing value. So what does that mean? That means you can just instantly CC lock a person, and your team gets full value to combat them. They do not have a Reba available. The only thing they could do in response is bring a cleanse. Now, we do not see anyone bringing a cleanse, so that means the whole entire world and community is sleeping on the cleanse, and the way they have solved that problem is just straight up banning the Liang and Duan Huang. That's fine and dandy until the moment that we evolve and we bring a cleanse. So if you ever see that happen and it doesn't get banned and you feel like they're in your lane and you know it ahead of time, I'm bringing a Duan Huang or Liang support and they already know it and pre-made, then you can just bring a cleanse and completely deny that play. Now, going back to the CC wins games with the composition, you can see we're just poking them out, taking that gold there in the front, trying to get out here. You can see I just teleported away. Easy escape. They are able to do damage to you when you are in teleport, but if they cannot kill you, then you're gone in a few seconds. Really easy escapes. Don't freak out. Just disappear to any safe position on the map, which is one of your turrets or a minion. So, looking at Luara here, she has some absurd silence in her kit. She does absurd damage as a hyper carry. Really good stuff. She can also go through walls, which allow her to keep up with people who use a flash and stuff. Very powerful stuff. The silence means they cannot use any skills the whole duration of the silence. They are basically at the mercy of being destroyed with no capability to do anything at all. That silence does include your sprints, your teleport, all your spells or summoner spells, whatever you want to call it. So that is overwhelming value. Value wins the game. Jeef, Hearthstone. Look him up if you play Hearthstone. He understands value. He is a top leaderboard player. That's why we're bringing him up. That's where we get value from. So I'm doing the exact same thing he's doing, bringing it back to HoK, wax on, wax off to any game I play. I examine and analyze value as a think tank creative genius, and I bring it to you. So next, Jiang. Let's go over to the Jiang here. See what he's doing. Creeping up like a shadow. So or whatever. Anyways, so Jiang sends out a creature. So sometimes I see it as a wolf. Depends on his skin, it changes. Besides the point. Anyways, there it is. He sends it out. If they land in it, then he can teleport to it, and get a stun. So he's got some gap close component on a teleport, and he's got a pretty good hard stun. It's pretty good stuff. And if they're not paying attention, they don't think you're gonna drop on him. He can zone you out. He can make plays as you see there. He just pushes it out there. If you disrespect that, he's going to drop on your face, go apeshit crazy. It's not going to be good for you. It's something the enemy team has to worry about because the rest of his kit is pretty powerful and he is a duelist. So, really good stuff. You will see that on the tier list. It is pretty good. I don't have it highest point on the list, but that's because people like Liang and Duan Wang just have more time of value. Time is more value, so that's why it's reflected like that on the list. If you have questions about the list, don't hesitate to ask me. Again, everything is subject to change. So next, Fuzi. He does have a pull down there. Great time to shift focus to him. If he gets that pull down, or if he's just you're face chucking him, he will pop that arena around you, and you can't do anything about it unless you could flash out. And I'm pretty sure I've seen people flash out, so correct me if I'm wrong on that. Either way, it is what it is. Sometimes, especially in Season 6, they freaked out and they didn't realize they could do that. Either way, it is what it is. Anyways, they are stuck in that arena. Yaya, or Haya, there it is, correction. Haya is actually technically better. Why? Because that arena is in a different dimension or something, and there's really nothing you can do. She's got stun and true damage. She is also in the broken list, so when we're talking about higher values, there is no counter play, which means it is absurd value. It will give you immense advantage over your enemies. Again, you're going to easily win the game. Let's take stress, the variable, out of the equation. Okay, so next, Mosey. Fortunately, he died, but it is what it is. He was making great plays. He's sitting there at 9-1. Besides the points, If you like to see his runes real quick, Nightmare, Hunt, Mind's Eye, really good stuff. Anyways, so he gets to shoot out a long shot. I believe that's his 2. And then he stuns you from an absurd distance away. It's pretty long. Definitely overpowered when you think about normal distance. As you can see, it's very far, very reliable. It has a pretty short cooldown. As you see, it's already up. Then you go into his ult, and he is pretty similar to Duan Huang and the Liang, so I'll make sure that's reflected on the list. He's pretty broken in that regard, and I've seen them use a flash here with the ult to make sure he lands the ult, and he can get multiple targets in one go. So that will be reflected on the list if I haven't done so already. Sometimes I get a little lost. That's the story of my life. It is what it is. Anyways, his first skill, though, is also a gap close. A little dash is not the longest thing. And he pushes people back. So, with that being said, if you see your team being dived or something, and he didn't have his 2 or his 3, he can also respond and counter play by just simply pushing them back, waiting out his short cooldown on his 2, and then stunning them. As you can see, immense value there, and I just pair up with it. He lands a stun, I go for the ult. They're in complete CC lock, crowd control lock. It's a clean clap. There's nothing they can do. More often than not, they're going to give it to you, unless they have someone like a Frost Mage who will just drop an ultimate on your head and try to delete all of you. So, next, Liang. Now, he's got the one there where he sets out those little walls, the 4 walls, and those will hard CC you. You are stunned for each wall. So you could potentially get, in highest value, 4 stuns for 1 drop of that spell. Now, the second component there, as we've been over it, is the ult. Now, the one thing to note, and they showed it there perfectly, is if they already get stunned, then it just gives a slow on a successive hit there, not a full-on stun. But if it's on different targets, then yes, technically you could get 4 stuns out of 1 spell cast. Anyways, back to the ult here. So the ult will just completely lock someone down for a period of seconds, way too many seconds to ignore, and they can't do anything about it. So the other component here is Lee Xin. Now he's on the broken list for a different reason. The reality is he has so much multi-pressure and CC immunity that it's too hard to ignore. It takes too many resources and combatants to deal with him. If you need to ban it, then ban it. Otherwise, really good teams know how to deal with it. So you don't need to be as worried. Duan Huang, Mosey, Liang are much more of a threat than Mr. Lee Xin here, as if I don't like him. Definitely love him more in a bromance. Whatever, you know. But anyways, he's got a slowdown on his 2, and he's got the knock up on his 3. But as you can tell, that's nothing to having an arena. It's nothing to having hard CC lock. Even silence, not being able to use your skills with the Liora, is just higher value in terms of outplay. When we talk about CCs and the differences of compare and contrast on value, we're looking at which one gives you the greatest amount of outplay to take the stress out of the equation. So next, the Hu Yi. The Hu Yi does have a slowdown on the 2. It's pretty minuscule, but it does give that little bit of room to catch up, keep on doing damage. It is kill potential. It's just a lesser form of value for kill potential. Now, the ult has 2 components to it. If they're right in front of you, then it's not going to do very much time for stun, hard stun. But the second component is if you have an immense amount of range across the map, it's a global flick. It's pretty absurd if you hit it. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. You can see my previous videos, I do hit it across the map. That's besides the point. Anyways, you will get a large amount of time, similarly to the Duan Huang, the Mosey, and the Liang. But keep in mind, it is very hard to do unless they are already engaged. So likely you'll wait for them to be in a fight, and then you'll flick it out there knowing that it'll be assured because your team is already engaging them and they're kind of distracted. So what does that mean? you make sure they're distracted and already engaged, and then you flick it out there or shoot it off and then get that stun, which will secure the kill for your team. So it is got a global component, however it is only S plus because it is dodgeable, and if we've been playing it since season 6, then the reality is they're very likely to realize that, and flicking it is again very difficult stuff. So that's why it's a little bit lesser, but it is global. So, but again, it's counterable, and you could bring a cleanse. Again, too many people don't bring the cleanse. It is what it is. So we'll see if the meta evolves to needing the cleanse, because we are shifting the meta to high value CCs and kits that are evolving around CC wins games. So it's likely that in future more people will bring the cleanse. You will see Diatrans with the cleanse, so that way they can keep doing their untargetable. So it's not like we're not seeing it at all, but there's a lot of people who don't bring it. So next step here, the knockback here on that spell on the monster, I believe it's not the spinning one, will have a small gap close, not gap close, but a small knockback component. And then the monster form, when he transforms, he gets that full red bar underneath him. He will push back everybody on the team. It's absurd value. If your team is being dived hard and attacked, he can just ult, push everything away, kind of reset the situation, relieve stress to the team. And then when he switches into monster form, he gets more crowd control and jumping around, kind of stunning you, etc. So it's really good stuff.
Checkmate.
Countless hours of planning and preparation have brought you here. This is a sport like no other.
The Zia here. Zia is also strong. He has that circular thing that he sets down, and it will like knock you up or whatever it does. So that's a lesser form of CC. If he has a sickle and he shoots out his ultimate or whatever, and it's got pretty good range, if he charges it, you will take some slowdown and some pretty good damage as well. But it just seems like a lesser form of value, so that's why it's a little lower on the list. Again, with the Charlotte here, she does, if she goes full combo, full aggro in, she does have like a knock-up component and does absurd damage. Again, it is really good, but it is lower on the list because it's just not overwhelming enough value to be at the broken level. And if you're attacking her, you can't really do too much about it unless you have something like the Lee Sin with the CC immunity or the cleanse. So that's why we're using this particular video to kind of showcase that we had better value in the CCs and they had lesser value in the CCs. Now that could have been the component that led us to having the victory. So it's not necessarily that these players are bad and we're just all that good. The reality is if you pick higher in the list, and I keep saying pick the S plus or the broken and try to have some complementary synergy with your roles and your choices in your pick, rule number 5, then you will win the game. Again, you take stress out of the equation and you're going to have an easier time climbing the ranks. So I thought this was a great video to kind of showcase why my tier list is built that way. Again, everything is subject to change. We will be looking at where I put Mosey on the list and then changing that. Again, the other thing is being a creative genius Sherlock Holmes, I'm very aware of when people are going to act, extremely deductive. So sometimes I'll put things a little lower until I see more value out of it because I can handle that. But the normal people, all people are not me. So again, I'm thinking about that when I'm correcting / updating the list. So with that being said, keep checking the videos for the list, the tier list at the beginning. It gets updated all the time. I'm also watching esports games. So that's that. Anyways, just briefly looking over the build because that's just what I do. Everything looks good. Everything looks meta, so that's fine. Same thing on the enemy team. Everything looks good. Everything looks fine. So they were thinking about everything. Again, so thinking about that real quick, is even if you have the perfect meta build and you know your champion, picking higher on the list is going to make your life easier. Even if you build correctly on the enemy team, as you can see, it's not like they did anything wrong. It's just overwhelming value or higher value wins the game. So that being said, keep the trash talking to a limit, or keep it to a minimum. You know, it's all right to like kind of jab at them a little bit, but we're not advertising toxicity or anything like that. Now, if you're being hacked, then people get provoked, and then that is what it is. You have your self-defense, etc., etc. But the majority of the time, it's usually a compositional thing is the reason we win, or a snowball lead, or outplay, or critical decision making. So that being said, those are all things that you need to own and do well in order to win the game. So along those lines, I've been picking a lot of Liang, a lot of Liu Shan, a lot of Duan Huang, a lot of Lee Zin this season in order to climb up to where I am right now, which I believe is like Master 2 or something like that. So with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. I am going to skip the rest of the metrics for this particular video. We will go to normal commentary after I get a few things out of the way in terms of things you need to know, and then you can reference that on the channel. In the video, these titles will be changed to what they need to be in order for it to be appropriate for your learning. So with that being said, guys, remember to analyze, evolve, win, check the tier list, check the description for the rules and the steps, and I will catch you in the next one. Till then, have a good day or good night. Bye.